Hi, Nick. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're very excited to have you on board and to listen to more of your story. So, I guess we'll start it off from you just telling us a little more about yourself. So, about your education, your career background, and more about who you are.
Hi, my name is Nick Gitau. My full name is Nixon Gitau. I am a journalist by training. I have a diploma in journalism, broadcast media major. Currently not practicing journalism. However, I'm employed part-time at an organization, and non-governmental organization called Systems Acumen for Youth-Led Development Solutions. It's quite a chunk, but in short, it's called SAIDS. I'm the project coordinator there, as well as partnerships and affiliations associates there. So, and I'm also, to the purpose where I'm here, I'm also the CEO and founder of Born of God. I think pretty much there's two ways to actually talk about it. So number one is Born of God is just a personal journey for me, a personal journey of identity, having been raised by a single mother, just trying to find your voice and trying to find who you are, even as a man. Then that cumulatively came into a whole lot of identity crisis. Then after is when now I got saved. Then now the journey started with God on that. And now one of the greatest things that he ever told me in 2017 was that you're born of God. Then he gave me scripture. So when I just looked at scripture, then it was actually true that I was actually born of God and all that. And so that's where the journey started. And so it was a very, very personal journey for me. And so in 2019, to be specific, January 4th at 8 a.m., I just had this sort of epiphany of just starting a cloth line. And so I started this. So I just called up my friend immediately and told them, hey, I have this design in my head. So I got, in this epiphany, I got the whole design and how it's supposed to look like. So yeah, just called my friend, told them the details of the design. And pretty much we started off with the design and having all the mock-ups. Funny thing, a friend of mine is a bit of a popular DJ. I just called him up. Then he connected me to a CEO of a production company. So right off the bat, that's where we started. And so I saw there was already, like, I was literally supposed to do it. And that's pretty much how the vision of the brand started. However, in fashion, I think pretty much it started way before I was even born, majorly because my mom is a businesswoman and she does shoes. She does dope shoes, literally the ones I have on. So sorry, can't show you guys, but they are definitely dope. And that's literally my mom. And clothing has just been our way of escape, right? In terms of you wear really dope, people just don't know what's going on behind the curtains, but all they can see is just your drip. So it was just our way to communicate that, you know what, it's okay and I'm good. However, just behind the closed curtains, there was just a lot that's happening, both within the family setup and also by myself. So, and that's really why Born of God is really just geared towards identity and authenticity, majorly because I think I wouldn't be here even talking to you if number one, even I wasn't authentic with myself. I wouldn't even have started Born of God if I wasn't authentic with myself. So majorly, we just saw in terms of fashion, we really saw that our preposition should be the blend between identity, authenticity, and modernity. So just making sure that we represent Africa as modern. So think about it like this: what does African urban look like? And that's pretty much what we want to define, as well as being very faith driven and faith anchored with how we really present ourselves to the world. So yes.
Yeah. And just to follow up on that, I'm sure there'll be people watching who are not familiar with the kind of merchandise that you do. So can you just tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, so we started off doing t-shirts, sweatpants, sweatshirts, hoodies as well. So it was pretty much branded merchandise. However, um, I think probably one of the challenges has just been people looking at us as a branding company as opposed to actually a brand, right? And so we just want actually the t-shirts that I am wearing right now is our logo. So just pretty much looking at, and even just to feed off, as you can see, if you're able to see the O on the BOG, that's a sign of the DNA. It's a DNA sign, which literally just represents identity. But pretty much our products at this point are just t-shirts, hoodies, sweatpants, sweatshirts, and coming up are going to be shorts. So we want to just broaden up our product line so that we are able to service our customers and Africa and the world with different products. Yes.
That's great to hear. And could you speak a little bit more towards the timeline of the business? So I know you said that you started it in January of 2019, but how is that? How has your timeline looked like up until now?
If I got your question correctly, then the brand has just been growing and it has been evolving, and especially for me specifically, since I'm a solopreneur, then it has, I understand why it's, I'm even proud that it's actually where it is at this point in time, majorly because being in the industry for the short time I've been there, I've seen different people trying to struggle to really just push the envelope, and they've not been able because of different factors. So at this point in time, even having a website, we recently launched, we rebranded and we launched our website, which is just our digital experience for customers. Then it has been just a great journey to experience. And I think I'm way ahead of other people who actually started even before me. So I really do give thanks. In terms of products, then we now, based on the rebrand, we definitely have what BOG will look like in the future. And we are currently just working towards that. And I think we're very, very hopeful towards where it's really going. Yeah. I hope I answered your question.
I just want to go back a little bit because you said when you started, you had a friend who had a lot of connections, connected you to people who ensured that it took off almost immediately. So was it that easy? Or I mean, starting sounds like you had people to help, but along the way up until now.
I think with the connections, it was literally just one person who I was connected to. He was the CEO of a production company that's currently still ongoing. However, it's just an introduction for, hi, this guy actually wants to start out, then being shown how to start. However, there was things like capital. I remember my capital, literally, I'm not even joking. There's this meme going around how you start a fashion line with a thread and all these things. But however, like my capital was literally 500 bob, and that was just pocket change from my mom giving me transport to go to some fellowship out there in Nairobi CBD. So pretty much it has been a step, and that's why I'm very, very proud with where we are at this point, seeing at where we started. Really the challenge has been capital, and also trying to break the market to seeing yourself not as a branding company. So a lot of people would see what we have and want their name written at the, wherever, their hand, or just probably at the back of the t-shirts. So just differentiating yourself or rather ourselves, has just been one of the greatest challenges at this point. However, it was not easy, because even just by introduction doesn't mean that you'll get it all easy, because that's also business for him. So if you don't get clients, if you don't have quite a wide range of products or even orders, then it means that your markup is very, very low. And that also means that your profit margin and also things to just run cost is really at an all-time high. So it wasn't really easy. It was just a good way to start, to be shown where to start. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And so, as you know, the pandemic happened in 2020, and starting your brand in 2019, I'm sure, it was just starting up at the time of the pandemic. So can you recall, when you heard about the pandemic and when you started to see its effects on your life and on your business?
I think towards the pandemic, and once the pandemic just hit in Kenya, we went a bit slow and we were a bit quiet for quite some time. Majorly because I think one of the greatest things with the pandemic, it really helped me just calm down and just help restructure. So we literally rebranded in June, or rather we launched in June 20th, 2021. However, this whole process literally started in March 2020. So literally when COVID hit, we knew one of the greatest things we'll do is just calm down and probably just restructure and see what this actually means. So I started off in 2019, but however, I didn't even see it as a clothing company in itself. So I actually now saw it as a clothing company in August of 2019. So seeing that whole period, then it means when COVID hit then, and things were just slowing down, we weren't getting as much orders majorly because people are now trying to prioritize different things, their basic needs. So now seeing that, then we were able just to settle down and probably just calm down with everything, then see what really this thing is. And I think it really worked for our advantage. We're able to really I was able to get mentors, people who I worked with. We've literally had calls on end just to make sure that our proposition and what you are really presenting to the world is something that's really viable and something that like we're literally just checking all checkpoints. So I think for us, the COVID-19 was a benefit. I think we'd probably look at it and say it was probably a loss since we were literally getting minimal orders. But I think based on where we are at this point, I can look back and say it was really to our advantage. And yeah, I think COVID came I wouldn't say it was a good thing that it came, but we definitely took the advantage of it and made as much progress as possible. Actually, we even partnered last year. We partnered with different brands just to make sure that we are getting, during Father's Day, we partnered with a company, with a leather, it's actually called Leather Freak. And we were able just to churn out different products within that specific season. And it was June and July when just the COVID was really big in Kenya. Then that's the time we actually got our major profits. So to us, pretty much COVID has been, we literally leveraged COVID for advantage. I was going to brand regardless, majorly because, as I said, I started seeing Born of God as a company and as a brand, as opposed to just like a one-off gig, that because previously, before August 2019, I was just taking the money that I was getting as pocket change, right? Mm-hmm. So just a bit of profits here and there. So yeah, good money for your pocket. Mm-hmm. However, seeing it as a company, that also means that financial structures need to be put in place. Thinking about a team, what's the vision and where are we going and all that. So I was to rebrand. I think even if I would even look back, the journey of rebranding started in around August, and we just wanting to see how do we brand ourselves out there and how do we differentiate Born of God from any other brand that actually is out there. So I was to rebrand in just that the COVID also helped us and catapulted us, gave us a bit of calm and a bit of time to even do that as we did it. Yes.
Okay. So you're saying that I guess the biggest opportunity you got through this pandemic was time, and that's what you were able to leverage the most.
Yeah, first of all, I think I learned a lot. Personally, I think I didn't know I had that whole knowledge about business, majorly because I had tried it before. I actually way before I never saw myself as a business person. I knew I'd just be a journalist and that's it. Probably just worked in an 8 to 5 or something like that. Then, but I never saw business in the picture, despite my mom actually being a business lady. So I tried it before. I had tried selling goods before. We had all these bulk bags that my mom had imported right before the camo print actually hit Kenya. So we had very good bags, Converse bags that I only sold 5 of a whole shipment, right? So I just knew that I wasn't cut off for the business side, and if business, that just on the service industry, not product. So then now coming in and seeing the viability of what I'm actually doing and people actually buying, then that gave me a bit of just validation for I can actually do this. So that's on the personal side. On the business side, part of the other thing that we also leveraged is partnerships. So I'm really good at making good partnerships and just leveraging connections and the relationships that I have, especially just to catapult different projects that I'm doing. So at this point, I remember one of the conversations I was having is the future of Africa. And so the question was just, what's the future of Africa if Africans are not in it? And also now looking at the value chain of our whole value chain in my industry, and seeing how am I able to get to at the top of the value chain without necessarily probably just investing, because that also means that a high level of capital is needed to make sure that we have our own manufacturing plants, we have, our whole distribution channel and all that. So that also made me now start leveraging partnerships, and through people like my mom who know people probably just doing stuff, I was able just to leverage partnerships out there. And I think at this point in time, we're probably in a very, very good place to be able now to produce mass orders that will probably just cater not only for Kenya, but also within the continent and probably even globally. Yeah.
Great, that's really great to hear. And I guess the next question is looking towards the future. So in a post-pandemic future, where do you think, your brand is going to go, and what do you think a post-pandemic future looks like for you in terms of your brand and your business?
Great. So in terms, first of all, thank you that you said the brand and the business, majorly because I look at it just twice. Number one, the vision of the brand is really to help people just live authentically. Our tagline is literally own yourself. So make sure that you know your identity and you're living authentically. So you're living true to your identity. So we're envisioning a world where, and it's just in form of a question for, think of a world where everybody knew who they are. How would that world look like? They'd first be very, very authentic with themselves, and we'd just be busting off very good energy within, or rather with each other and all that. Number two, they'd know what they're about. So identity precedes function and precedes purpose. So you have to know who you are, then to know what you're about, and also probably your purpose in life. So we're envisioning a place where, and it has already started, and that's also part of the validation as to why we rebranded. So just seeing people live authentically and people just knowing their purpose in life. So number two, in terms of the business, we're seeing ourselves just being the staple brand in Kenya and also Africa, then to the world. So we are starting, and we're first of all building locally in Kenya, then now building towards Africa, then building towards the world. And we are seeing our products just go through, we've already started actually in 2019. We had a very good partnership with Miss Kenya Calabar, who actually ended up being Miss Africa Calabar. So our t-shirts and our merch is literally in different parts of the continent at this point. So that gave us a validation for seeing ourselves just breaking borders, not just in Kenya, but also in the continent. So we've already started, and also just diversifying our product line. So coming off just merchandising, as I said, one of the challenges is seeing ourselves, what other people seeing us as a branding company. So where you customize your own stuff as opposed to just a brand. So we want to make sure that you also produce products like shirts, your regular jacket, just your everyday wear, and your everyday accessory, and just different. Think of it. I mean, the sky is never the limit anymore. So anything that can actually be made, shoes, blankets, fleece blankets and all that, these are things we're also thinking of making. So just think of it as just a baseline fashion line, which is at the top tier. So that's pretty much where the business is looking at this point.
It sounds good, and sounds like you have a really big vision for expanding. But I'm also kind of curious, given the connotation, I guess, that your brand has, it's born of God. Do you think that it's a bit exclusive, especially when you're trying to expand across the continent? And has that been a challenge?
I don't think it has been a challenge, really. It has actually been the selling point. Funny thing, right? So where I think if I could say, like, a lot of people, especially the Kenyan population at this point, probably 80 to 90% of the Kenyan population is actually Christian. So which actually gives me a whole gap of, customers to probably just, from kids, from teenagers, their parents. We have a wide pool of customers and clientele to reach out to. And Africa as well. Africa is known as, probably the Christian continent, right? A lot of, and just looking at different denominations across board, then a lot of people really identify themselves as Christians. So I don't think that's really a loss in itself. It's probably a selling point. And also a proposition really doesn't just speak to Christian, it just speaks faith to people. So you don't, when you enter into a Muslim-owned restaurant, you don't think twice. You are there for the food. You're not there for the religion, right? So we are seeing ourselves not only break barrier in terms of just because we are Christian, but we're seeing ourselves as a Muslim can wear our brand. A Hindu guy can actually wear our brand, majorly because we're not saying we will only sell to Christians and that's it. We are selling to everyone who'd want to buy and identifies with what we are about. And if you believe that you're born of God, then you definitely fit the parts. Yes.
Good.
From a personal perspective, I think, first of all, that for me was God. Building my spiritual life has just been a great thing for me and has really helped my mental stability to even shape what the brand is and what it's going to be. That thing is just mentors. I think I wouldn't have launched the way I launched if I didn't have sounding boards as mentors, just people who've been there before, probably not in my industry, but people who just been in the business sector before, and people who are really actually making it big at this point. Just tell me this is what to do, this is what not to do, asking me very provoking questions that probably, some of the questions I'm even answering right now are things that I didn't have answers to in 2020. And these are just my mentors have just been a very, very great pillar to seeing where I am personally and also where the business is at. The other thing is just surrounding yourself with friends. I think your environment really matters a lot with how you're going to conduct stuff. So my friends have been such great people, and also not just looking at the business itself, not also looking at what I'm doing, but also who I really am and how I'm living my daily life. So I think at this point, I'd say those three factors have been the major, just surrounding yourself with, big support systems who will help facilitate all that you're doing. Yeah. myself.
Mhm.
I hold very great sentiments in terms of this, majorly because I don't think it has been very inclusive.
Mhm.
We are seeing a lot of bad news, which in journalistic terms, definitely they sell, right? They definitely make for news, and a lot of people would want to see such stories. However, I don't think that you should sacrifice telling. I think there should be a balance, right, in terms of addressing issues that are actually pertinent to humanity, then also telling stories that pertinent in terms of, the stories that, such as rape, such as domestic violence. These are things that should be addressed. However, there's also the good that's happening, but it's not being highlighted at all. So the problem is it's not being highlighted at all. The problem is not that it shouldn't be highlighted, right? So I strongly feel that different people would have probably a bigger mileage in terms of business. There are people who are doing very, very great philanthropic work, people who've been, donating to different people who I'd say are less fortunate at this point and even can't make ends meet in terms of the time of COVID. So there are different stories across board that can be highlighted as the good that's happening in a country, and especially in this case, Kenya, that's actually not being highlighted. I think specifically also helping and probably just cushioning businesses such as mine. You don't have to give me capital to start. You should probably just give me airtime to say what I'm about, and that will directly connect me to customers who will in turn just come to my store or something like that to purchase a product. So there are different ways where the media can actually play a very big role in helping businesses such as mine to just catapult to the next step. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So that is it for the interview today. Thank you so much for joining us. And we'll end it there unless you have any other things that you want to share with us or any questions.
I know. Just to say thank you very much for having me.
Mhm.
It's a really great project that you're doing here. I
Yeah.
love what you guys are about, and yeah, thank you. I can't wait to see what more you guys have. So thank you
Yeah.
very much for having me.